Good news! I have finally figured out how to have subtitles for the Japanese text. Took me a little long, but I figured it out, how to do it on the Blu-ray, so we're all good. I don't need to complain about that anymore. And I actually did go back and see a couple things from episode 1 that I missed. Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with One Punch Man. Last time on One Punch Man, we had Return of the Hero, I believe was the name, where basically we learn the secret of King, how he actually isn't strong, but someone else basically fights all the villains that he does, and then he accidentally takes credit for. And actually, he's accidentally taking credit for a lot of Saitama's victories. And then Saitama's just like, oh, why don't you just get strong? Alright, want to play a game? And that's that. There was also another thing about Madame Shibabawa's predictions that apparently we are not yet to the Earth Doom prophecy. And so the Hero Association guys were like, hey, what if we hire some criminals basically to help out? But that didn't really go over well. So yeah, but that was basically it. It was a good episode, and I'm interested to see where we're going with this episode. So, this is where I say no spoilers in the comments. You guys know how to get to the reaction. It's down in the description and in the pinned comment. And we should just get going on this episode of One Punch Man. Here we go. Okay. Demon, Cyborg, and Caped Baldy. That's what we're going with. Alright. That's episode 2 of season 2 of One Punch Man. Interesting. So, I feel like this season is going to be the friendship season, where we just keep making friends, basically, you know? So, last episode, we made friends with King, and this episode, we made friends with Hellish Blizzard. So, yeah, we're just sort of in the friendship season. I'm alright with that. We can go ahead and hop into the notes on this one. The first thing I wrote down is Garo, the monster. The human... That's interesting, you know, they have, like, villains and stuff, but yeah, kind of every... It's interesting how they put it that, like, every monster has been... every monster has been... Well, a monster, not human. Like, there are no real human villains on this show, per se. Like... You know, there's a bit, you know, you get a bit with, like, Hammerhead being sort of a villain, but even then he wasn't really credible. Like, we're talking about, like, you know, the Deep Sea King and Boros and stuff like that. And I guess sort of Sonic to an extent. Although Sonic, like, when they set him up, he was more just sort of, you know, he just did stuff and, you know, he was hired by that one guy just as security. But now he is being more of a villain just so he can fight Saitama, you know? So, but yeah, that's just interesting that we don't really have monsters that are just people. You know, it makes you wonder, it's like, okay, well, if you have these really, really powerful, you know, heroes and they're just people... Naturally, there should be really, really powerful people that are villains. So, yeah. And so it kind of seems like Garo is now going to be our, I guess, sort of season villain, you know? Although they're setting him up really early. You know, Boros they didn't really have until episode 10 of last season. So, that's just interesting. They're basically already setting him up. And they do say, it's like, okay, well, Silverfang is going to deal with him. And it's like, okay, well, he's Class S rank 3. And they say, well, if need be, Tornado and Blast can assist. Like, if this is really bad, like, you know, even if it is, yeah, like, oh, Saitama needs to be the one to beat him. But if this guy can take on the top 3 of Class S, that's pretty powerful, you know? So, yeah. We had Sonic versus Genos, which was interesting. I think one of you guys commented that, I think it was, back when they met or something, if Genos and Sonic fought, they'd be evenly matched. And that's still true here, even though, Sonic gets stronger and Genos gets upgrades to make him stronger. They do still seem evenly matched, which is interesting, And again, this kind of goes back to Garo. Here's just a normal guy, but he's a normal human, but he is that powerful, He would probably, Blizzard said, give a lot of Class S a run for their money, So that was interesting. We had the whole thing about factions, which I liked. Very interesting that, the thing about this show with its heroes is that it feels a bit different from, My Hero Academia, where even in there, you have the whole stuff of you kind of have to step on some toes to get anywhere as a hero. And a lot of, being a hero also has to do with popularity and, getting noticed if you want to really, put bread on the table. And here, while it's not really about popularity, there is a bit where it's you kind of have to have some resources, know some people, But Saitama is just not like that whatsoever, It's just so interesting. He just is not like that in the slightest. So I really like that, actually. And yeah, he doesn't care. It's you guys have some weird hero clique. I don't care. Look, I keep defeating monsters, and I've risen from C to B, and I'm rising through B. Eventually I'll be an A, and you don't have to worry about me. So, I did like that. That was very interesting. What happened to her two other heroes that were there? That was interesting. Is obviously Saitama just sort of flicks them away, and they're gone. But, afterwards, when they were all just sort of sitting, in there, the two of them weren't in there. So, I don't know. Maybe they just left. Maybe they were too bad off. But yeah, I like the whole thing of, what it means to be a hero, which I feel like Saitama, doesn't really, expound on that very often. I don't know if that's the right word or not, but he doesn't really, talk about it that often. There will be stuff like that where he'll be oh, well, if the heroes, don't show up, who's going to save people, or he said something like that in season 1. Obviously, I can't remember it per se. But there was something like that. It's why do you go out there when so many heroes don't? It's I go out there because I'm a hero. It's the same thing with Moomin Rider. It just shows that they are legitimate. They are legitimate heroes, not just because that's their job description. No, they are heroes. And that's the thing. Now, granted, I would imagine that Blizzard is a hero, but she does sort of fall into that same sort of thing with her sister, that it's you're kind of overthinking it. You're not just going out there and being a hero. You're taking this a little too seriously. And, Tornado and a lot of higher-ups in Class A and Class S, they look at stuff and it's oh, well, I don't need to go out there. I don't care. It's but people are dying. I don't care. I'm not going out there. I'm not going to waste my time. So that's the thing. I just like when this show does talk about what it really means to be a hero, So that's pretty cool. We had the after images, which was interesting. And just that fight between Sonic and Genos was very cool. I like that 5 times they had a shot of Genos zooming behind Sonic, and it slows down right as he gets there, and his eyes are glowing and stuff. And then he attacks. They did that 5 times, and each time was a different animation. You can see they redrew it each time, So I just thought that was really funny. And then yeah, they did the after images. And then, I like Saitama, going, all right, I guess I'll be serious in this fight. Like, oh shit, the last guy that he was serious with was Boros, and even then he was holding back. He's like, Sonic, you're not up for this. And then it's like, oh, I was just sidestepping, and then you got hit by a shockwave. Like, oh, that's what took down Sonic, was just a shockwave, So that was interesting. I like that. Anyway, back onto Blizzard. So she basically got it in her head that she could never truly be number one at anything because of her sister Tornado, which is interesting. Because like from the beginning, I was like, oh, she's like Tornado. She has a green dress, green hair, and telekinetic powers. Wonder if she's related to Tornado. Sure enough, but it seems like Tornado is always better than her at everything, so she couldn't. She would never be number one. But she realized she could be number one of Class B. And it's interesting how they say, oh, well, why don't you be Class A rank 1? And she says, because nobody can be Class A rank 1 because of my mask. And it's interesting how now, beforehand it's like, okay, whatever, you guys a dickhead or whatever like that. Or, we've sort of like had differing opinions, or just different things about different heroes. But now we are specifically, I like how we're diving more into monsters, and she says like, yeah, on my mask, he is a monster among heroes, and it's interesting because like, when you first meet on my mask, you really don't get that impression, do you? It's just like, oh, just here's this guy, he's kind of pompous, but whatever. And it's like, and then, what we got at the end of season 1, and now here it's like, okay, this guy's way too fucking serious. Like, this guy's talking about filth like Overhaul talks about filth. Like, that's not a good thing. Like, this dude needs to chill out and just be a hero, So, so that's pretty interesting. They say, and she even said, I think, like, oh, King and Blast, like, they're monsters among monsters. And of course, we obviously know that King is not that, which is kind of funny. But that does tell us something about Blast, who was missing from the meeting last season between all the Class S heroes. Like, well, where is the number one ranked hero? He's not even there. We've never seen him. So all we know is he's really powerful. Now, they've said before, I guess that's the thing, is before they have said, oh, well, King is the strongest. Obviously, we know that's not true. But how strong is Blast then? If he's this monster among monsters, like, I don't know. I hope we get to see him at some point. I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, Class S rank 1. This is the number one ranked hero in the world. And all we know is he is a monster. He's presumably like a My Mask, and the persona, the image of King that everyone has, but isn't actually true. Maybe that's it, is that they're setting up Blast to be what King said, what everyone said King was, basically. So now that we know that King is, not that, they're setting up like, oh, Blast is, though, I don't know. It is one of those things, though. It's like, I'd be very curious about it, because that's one thing about My Hero Academia that I really like, that, okay, who's the number one ranked hero in the world? All Might. And why is it All Might? Why is it All Might and not Endeavor? Because in canon, Endeavor, technically, I think they say, like, Endeavor has defeated more villains than All Might. But All Might is number one because of his personality. Because he is this, symbol of peace. So what the fuck is Blast? Because we've seen a lot of Class S heroes, and, for the most part, they are okay. And, Silverfang, he's this, great, like, grandpa hero, basically. the wise, like, I guess more he's almost like an Obi-Wan sort of character, but he's Class S rank 3. You get Tornado, you know, like we said last season, the tsundere hero, and it's like, well, okay, what the hell is Blast then? Because Tornado is kind of like Endeavor. It's like she's kind of like got a chip on her shoulder all the time. She's a bit funnier than Endeavor, but she always sort of has a chip on her shoulder and is always like, you know, yelling and nagging people and stuff. And it's like, okay, but from what we can tell, Blast is not All Might. So, I don't know. But that whole thing about monsters among heroes is interesting. I like that this seems to be sort of our theme for this season now, or at the very least this episode, is this theme of monsters. What is a monster now? Like, it seems like the definition is starting to change, you know? So I like that. And yeah, I also like that another theme of this is just friendship. Saitama does not see rank. He does not see anything. He sees people. They just are people, you know? And strong heroes they do gravitate to him, you know? And yes, that is partly because of his strength, because he is so powerful and still just a Class B, but he also doesn't really flaunt his power, you know? Like, yeah, if he moves up, but he doesn't really care about moving up, per se, with the exception of moving out of Class C so that he doesn't have to, you know, do the weekly quotas, but that's basically that. That's a whole other thing, but for the most part, it's like, why is he doing his hero work? Because he's a hero, and that is starting to, you know, attract people, other heroes to him, like King, and now like Blizzard. So yeah, it's like, basically, Blizzard came here to recruit Saitama into her group. But now, it kind of seems like she is now a part of his group. It's just a group of friends, you know? With that, and it also includes 3 Class S heroes, Genos, King, and Silverfang. And now, also includes Class B rank 1. So, I like that. And then the last thing I wrote down is Demon Cyborg and Caped Baldy. Which, Caped Baldy, that is what Saitama said could always happen. I don't remember what Geno said his name could possibly be. I don't think it was Demon Cyborg. But Saitama was worried that it's like, oh, I could be called the Caped Baldy. Sure enough, he is, so that's unfortunate. It's because none of them know. None of them know what he should be called. The One Punch Man. So, yeah. So that was interesting. Yeah, I really like this episode. I like what they're setting up and, you know, everything that they did in this episode. This one was really, really good. So, yeah, I'm excited to see where we're going from here. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of my One Punch Man reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.